Hi students, today we are going to learn a poem named My Mother at 66 written by Kamala Das. Kamala Das is familiar to us. She is one of the famous Indian English writers. She used to express her personal experiences through her works. Here, she is speaking about the fear of losing one's dears due to aging. That is the central theme of this poem. Let's learn the biography of Kamala Das now. Kamala Das, a famous Indian English writer, also wrote by her pen name Madhavi Kutti. She may be familiar to us by this name. She was born in Kerala. Her mother Balamani Amma was also a poet. External factors do not reflect in her writings. Her writings bring out her true inner feelings. In this poem also, she was sharing one of her experiences with her mother. Let's move on to the detailed explanation of this poem now. I'll recite the first lines. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me. Here, the writer recalls one of her experiences with her mother. After a holiday in her parents' house, she was going back to her house. She was going to Cochin airport with her mother and observing her mother closely from the car. Let's see the remaining lines. Doors, open mouth, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked. What is the meaning of the word doors? Means a light sleep, and corpse, that we know, it's a dead body. Here, when the poet was observing her mother, she was in a light sleep. She had already fallen asleep, and she slightly opened her mouth. When she looked at her face, she became sad. That aged face was pale, and that reminded her of the white face of dead body. Then she realized that her mother is become old. She is not so healthy. That made her so sad. But soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. Sprinting means running fastly, and spilling, spreading out. The mother was aged, she was not young any longer. That truth was hard for her to accept. So to avoid that thought, to avoid that sadness, she looked outside through the window of the car. What she was seeing there? Young trees are sprinting. When the car is moving very fastly, she felt like those trees are running fastly behind them. The poet is saying that those trees are young. The young trees are spilling. Means what? As those trees are so young, they are so active, they can move so fastly, they are so energetic now. It is just opposite of the condition of her mother. Then when she was looking out of the window, she saw merry children spilling out of their homes. Merry children means happy children, and they are spilling out of their homes. What they are doing? The children, the happy children, are going out of their houses to play. In both of the scenes, she could see life, energy, and youthfulness. That's just opposite of the condition of her mother. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her, wan, pale, as a late winter's moon. Wan is also means pale, looks like sick. Then the mother and the daughter reached the airport and completed the security check. She was standing a short distance away from her mother, observing or noticed the old woman again. Just as before, she looked so old, so pale. She is comparing the white, pale face with late winter's moon. Why it is comparing with late winter's moon? Late winter's moon also has no brightness. It looked pale due to the mist and fog. Similarly, the poet's mother, who is now old and looks pale, and her face looks dull and colorless due to the old age. So the poet compared her mother's face with late winter's moon and felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear. But all I said was, see you soon, Amma. All I did was smile and smile and smile. The dull, pale face of her mother recalls the old familiar ache, her childhood fear. What was the childhood fear? The fear of losing the mother. She is already feeling the pain of separation and leaving her mother and going. And with that, this childhood fear, the fear of losing her mother. Why she was feared of losing her mother? Because now she looks so old and unhealthy. So the poet was not sure that the mother would be there for the next vacation. But she didn't show that pain, that sadness to her mother. She smiled at her mother and said, "See you soon, Amma." Though she was so sad, she waved at her mother and assured that they would be seeing soon, giving a hope to her mother and also to herself. Hope you understood this poem. Let's summarize it now. This poem, My Mother at 66, is written by Kamala Das. She describes a feeling of love and attachment towards her aging mother through this poem. Once, the poet went to visit her mother, and after the holidays, she was going back to her house. When they were traveling to airport, her mother accompanied her. The poet looked at her mother, who was seated beside her in the car. Her mother was sleeping, and she saw the pale face of her mother. Her mouth was open, and she resembled a dead body. The poet realized that her mother was old and weak now. She felt pain and sympathy towards her mother. To come out of that sadness, the poet looked outside of the car through the window. There, she saw young trees running behind the car, and the little children came out from their houses happily. Those pictures are just opposite of the condition of her mother. It symbolizes energy, life, and happiness. And her mother lost these qualities. They reached the airport, and the poet completed all the security checkups. She was about to leave her mother. She was leaving for the aeroplane. So before that, she looked at her mother again from a distance. She saw her mother's weak, pale face again, and she was comparing that face with late winter's moon. The poet felt the pain and fear of losing her mother. She was reminded of her childhood fear. As a child, she could not bear to be separated from her mother. That fear again caught her, because her mother is so weak now, and she don't know how long the mother would be there with them. Now the loss would be permanent, as her mother was about to die, and she would lose her mother forever. So the poet was so sad to leave her mother, but she didn't express her feeling. She smiled at her mother and said, "See you soon, Amma," because she wanted that her mother should leave and they could meet again. She was giving a hope to her mother and also herself, so she can go back happily in a hope that her mother would be there for the next vacation. They can meet again. So hope you understood the feeling of Kamala Das towards her age-old mother. Let's see the poetic devices used here in this poem. Simile, personification, repetition, metaphor, alliteration are the poetic devices used here. First one is simile. What is simile? Simile is a figure of speech that makes a comparison showing similarities between two different things. In simile, comparing two things with the help of like or as. Where did the poet use simile in this poem? Her face ashen like a corpse. Face is compared with a corpse. One more example is there. As a late winter's moon. Her pale face is compared with late winter's moon. Here to compare, the poet is used like and as. So those lines are examples of simile. Next one is personification. What is personification? It is one of the most commonly used poetic device, and in it we are giving human characteristics to inanimate objects. Here, trees sprinting. Sprinting means running. We know trees cannot sprint or run. That is a human characteristic, and that quality the poet gives to trees. So that is a poetic device named personification. We are giving the human qualities to inanimate things. Next one is repetition. Repetition we know repeats the same words or phrases a few times to make an idea clear and more memorable. Here the poet used smile and smile and smile to make that line more attractive and also to emphasize that she hides her feelings, her sadness in smile. Next one is metaphor. That is just like simile only. In simile, we are comparing two things using like or as. In metaphor, we are comparing two things without using like or as. That is only one difference. Comparing things. Here, the merry children spilling out of their homes is a metaphor. Alliteration is the another poetic device used here. It is the repetition of the same consonant sound at the beginning of words that are enclose to each other. Here, my mother. In both these words, M, the consonant sound repeated. Like that thought and see you soon. These are the major poetic devices the poet used in this poem. Thank you.